Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Rivian planned for profitability after Volkswagen's $5 billion investment, which is quite a large investment to say the least. I can't but wonder why. Now, this is brought to us thanks to autonews.com. You can see some of those iconic Rivian trucks with the funny looking headlights, which look pretty interesting as long as you don't care about the vehicle not being able to hit, 100,000 miles or last more than 10 years. But again, there is a market for it, and a lot of people like it. Very few people are buying it. Before we dive into the actual news about how they're going to try and turn it around, let's look at their stock. Yeah, Rivian, they're not looking so great. So their Rivian stock is down 83.37% since the IPO. Yeah, it's trading for $13.41 per share. Now the past year, 1 year, down only, quote unquote, only 8%. Year to date, though, it's down 36.47%. Now, the past month, it skyrocketed by 28.55%. Then last week, it went up by almost 50% after the news of this. It went up by 43.9%, which, again, is good for the couple of people who bought that stock when it was on the low. Like Wise Man once said, buy low, sell high. Now, that being said, also, the market cap is only $13.2 billion, so it's still one of the smallest automotive companies. Now, the issue with Rivian is they've never made a profit, which they're not very unique. Most EV companies don't make profit for years. That's what made Tesla so unique in that regard. They actually did attain profitability, seemingly the impossible. I mean, last quarter, Ford lost, I forget if it was $131,000 or $136,000 per EV sold. That division is bleeding money. They're only able to do it because the gas engines offset those massive losses. So, good news on Ford that they keep making the money stuff, as well as they invest in the EV technologies, which might someday make profit. Now, Rivian, they lost $39,000 per vehicle in the first quarter. Now, they note they're going to plan to use this $5 billion investment with the Volkswagen Group to scale its business to new models, and it will put them in more path to profitability, which maybe that'll help out a little bit, but it's also one of those things where they already said they're going to revamp the model, so they got some nice facelifts. Now they're going to create yet another model. Maybe they'll go into the sedan market. That being said, the sedan market on average is leading, to say the least. Is one of the reasons why Ford really doesn't make any cars anymore, with the exception of the iconic pony car Mustang with a V8 and a stick shift, which all cars should be by default, of course. But I mean, cars really aren't that profitable for the most part, and consumer preference is very much SUV, crossover, and trucks. Also happens to be where most of the profit is when it comes to the automotive portfolio. So I'm not sure. And then again, Volkswagen, they announced they're going to invest billions into their own ICE engines. So it's almost as if they're outsourcing some of this, because of course they're going to share some technologies. You've seen similar things when it comes to General Motors and Honda throughout the years, so they had similar partnerships. But with Rivian, they need this because again, they're cash poor, and this year they were in a really tough spot. Again, lost $39,000 per vehicle. And that being said, they're moving in the right direction. Again, not financial advice, but the loss per vehicle is decreasing, or should I rather more articulately say the losses are not as bad as they used to be. I think it's $100,000 last fiscal year for most of the vehicles that were sold, or on a per unit basis. So I'm, again, not financial advice. I'm not sure what the stock's going to do tomorrow. It will be interesting to see if they're able to really make it and how much it really takes until they get to profitability. Also, to take this into account, the fastest growing segment for consumers in the United States, the automotive community, is hybrids. That's where a lot of consumers are spending their dollars. The EV adoption rate is decreasing. There are people buying these vehicles, but that rate of adoption is decreasing. Perhaps because they don't want to be stranded, or they don't want something that's going to be disposable, or they just don't like the idea of having one manufacturer that is allowed to work on the product, very similar to a smartphone. So let's just say I'm not optimistic when it comes to Rivian. Granted, I mean, especially the finance and business outlooks, I've been wrong before. So who knows? Perhaps they'll beat Tesla and be a huge multi-trillion-dollar valuation company someday. I mean, I'm not sure what the Las Vegas odds are for that, but I mean, let me know. It's interesting. I know a couple friends who bought the Cybertruck, which again, if it had a stick shift and a diesel engine, I might buy. just because to me it's amusing. Design is, bullet resistant to a certain extent. But I don't know more than one person who has a Rivian. I have a couple friends who have Teslas, and I have seen a couple Rivians on the road, anecdotally speaking, in terms of my experience of seeing the product. But let me know in your circle of friends, do you know, are a lot of people buying the Rivians? Are they excited? Do you think it just takes a new model and they'll buy into the whole brand, the whole company? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.